So here is the hat deck that I took with me and got shafted alongside me, which sucked. But yeah, this should have been a top 8 deck, but time sucks and stupid rulings. They said they'd fix it up by next week. I really hope they freaking do that because I'm still incredibly salty about it. I mean, I'll admit that I'm salty, but you know, if you were in that same situation, you'd be pissed off about it as well. But anyways, I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Just going to go through the deck and how it worked. I actually modeled this deck. It bears a fair few similarities to the build that was used at the Brotherhood Open over in the UK. Jimmy the Kid 00 used it. And I have to say, it actually did work out to a certain extent, although there are some levels of inconsistency still hanging with the deck. I mean, I opened pretty decently throughout the entirety of the event, but, you know, just didn't exactly work out as well as I would have liked. So, start things off is the Trap Tricks engine. Triple Mamelio, the most busted card to open up with. I believe I opened with this and 4 back row a grand total of once, and did eventually get the win, although that was after a bit of a grind session against who do you call it, the Ghost Trick Monarchs. So that was a bit of a thing. But yeah, Mamelio's just incredibly busted. Then I played the Double Die Now. I'm not even sure if I would have played the third, even if I did have it, because the original like source deck that I built this off of had 3 Dynairs, but I only had the 2, so I basically replaced my one with a Thunder King, which you'll see a little bit later on. Then there's just the 3 Fire hand, about as standard as it gets. Let me try to line this up. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's the 3 Fire hand, 3 Ice hand. Don't think I need to say too much about these. These put in pretty much work. And this was probably the most interesting choice of the quote-unquote source materials build, was running the double moral attack. I gave it a crack, and I'm still sort of iffy about it. I mean, I'm thinking that I might just go back and run the third one, but like the mentality of the original deck was that you were going to draw into this, it was dead, it was not really going to help you that much. Thing is though, like especially in the Ghost Trick Monarch matchup, I actually found myself tribute summoning this a lot, and I figured in those situations, I don't know, the third one might actually be helpful if you could tribute summon into it just for the beat stick purposes. Plus, round 2 against Yang Xing, I opened up Double Sanctum and one of these, which basically meant that this one, and I wasn't even too sure if the opponent was running MSTs. I know they were running wiretaps, so they probably didn't have to run the MSTs. I found out that he did, but ended up not even hitting one of my artifacts. And the only time where I was actually where I could have actually gotten something like this off was when he got the Black Rose, but he didn't actually nuke the board, which kind of depressed me. So yeah, I'm probably just going to run the third one just so that I always have some kind of a target in the deck for Sanctum, because my locals, they just seem to be a bit iffy about blind MSTing. They hardly ever really do it unless they have a fair idea about what your back row will be. So it's a bit of a thing. Around the double max C, this was rather useful against shit like Yang Xing and the Lightsword matchup. I actually dropped this, like he played Dark Hole, and so I dropped the max C and ended up using 2 Yang Xing effects and a Yang Xing creation, and so all 3 of those off of different chain links, I ended up getting a +1 out of each. I ended up drawing 1 out of each of the 3, so I basically just drew 3 instantly. He then made what was it? I think Baxia or something. But I did manage to get over that Baxia, so I ended up drawing another one. Actually, I think it was Armides drew into, so it was kind of awesome. and then played the one Thunder King. I'm probably just going to cut this for the third moral attack because I hardly ever saw it. I think I may have seen it once, and even then my memory's a bit fuzzy on that. I'm not even sure if I did, but yeah. Running just the 7 spells in the form of the triple duality. I did not like Dichotomy. It tested really poorly. It was useful in a couple of cases, but I felt like I didn't really want anything disrupting, like preventing me from using my battle phase. So I pretty much had that in mind and just cut it. Double Lance, this thing was actually really freaking helpful. It got round to D prison. I'm not too sure if I did any. I think I might have done maybe like one little attack shifting shenanigans at one point, but yeah. Then I played the Book of Moon and the Dark Hole. Book of Moon was actually good. Game 1 against Lightsworn Rulers because he had the he had a bit of a board. He had, I think, Diabolos or something, or a GD, and he had a Dracosac, so I booked the Dracosac and then Darkhold, which is really awesome. Then for the traps, I believe it's 17 traps. Triple Sanctum, it's just it's pretty nuts. Although in my test handing just before the locals, I ended up opening this twice in my test hands, triple of this in my test hands twice, which was kind of horrid. And one game, I believe I opened 2 of these. I know in one game I opened both of my moral attacks, which is really freaking horrible. But what can you do? I mean, it's probably more likely to happen if I run 3, but that's just going to be a risk that I'm going to have to take. Then I also played the Triple D Prison, just pretty much for the Shadol matchup. To be perfectly honest, I could easily just cut one. I'd kind of like to try something else because I feel like, as good as Deep Prison is, I feel like it's just too slow for me. I'm thinking I might maybe try. Actually, I don't even know what the heck I'm gonna try, but I'm gonna cut that to 2 and see how that works out. Then double breakthrough skill, which is pretty good. Double wiretap, which was quite good. I actually wiretapped a wiretap against the Yang Zing matchup, which worked out really well there. Double Call the Haunted. I believe I got this off a couple of times. It got shafted by Vanities once. Thankfully, that was the only time I saw Vanities throughout the whole event. Like against that matchup, the Ghost Trick Monarchs matchup, I mean, I'd sided by MSTs, so it was fine if I'd gone up against them if I'd had that dropped against me again. But yeah, Compulse, Trap or Nightmare, which did put in a little bit of work, but I'm a bit about. Bottomless, Torrential, and Solemn Warning. I think, looking back on it, it would have been nice to have a time-space trap hole, but I just simply didn't have it. It kind of sucked, but if I would like to at least try to get my hands on a time-space trap hole before the next local. If I don't, I'm not going to sweat it. So, for extra deck, the only rank 5 runners play these. I had a whole bunch of rank 5s and shit in the Fire Fist deck, and as awesome as it would be to get shit like that out, I felt like my extra deck was a bit too focused on rank 5s, and I never even saw this at all. But that's just sort of the thing you have to deal with when it comes to running stuff like that. As for the other ones, Revival Chain, easily the most scenic Seas monster of the day. Diegast Emerald, I saw this I think once or twice. Marigeist, I saw this a couple of times against Ghost Tricks and Yang Zing. Heartland Draco, I saw this a couple of times, which is really good. I've been trying to fit this into an extra deck for a while now. It actually astounds me as to why I didn't even put this in the half deck list, because it would have worked really well with Tenki, but apparently I was too much of a dipshit to remember that this was a thing. That and the fact that I was running more rank 5s, which I really shouldn't have been doing. But I made top 4 anyway, so that was pretty fine the way that worked out. Honor Arc, I saw this once, I think, against Scrap matchup, and I think that was about it. Black Ship, I never saw this at all, because I think I might have been able to make it in a couple of occasions, but I was just sort of fearing the background, didn't have the Y tap or Lance, so I just tried to sit back. Utopia, I actually did see this once. I beat Stick with it. Actually, did I? Or was that in test hands? Actually, I think it was in test hands, but this is basically there just to just stave off a couple of attacks, pretty much, and it's a beat Stick. 2500 is actually pretty decent in this matchup. Gorgon, I saw this a couple of times. It was basically just security, because especially against Ghost Trick Monarchs, in case they did drop the Caius, I'd just be like, okay, you can redirect. I'll have that redirected towards my Dead Call the Haunted, which is pretty awesome. So, Gorgon was there. Saw him a couple of times. He was basically just there to say, don't try anything silly. Castell, never summoned him. Like, I could have easily gone him instead of 101, but I wanted 101 just to be able to incapacitate his ability to drop another atomic Scrap Twin Dragon, but didn't work out because he had another one. Dweller, I got this off once. Yay, I got it off against Yang Zing, which is awesome. Ran into one of his monsters expecting like a Vixie or something like that, which is why I went for this in the first place. And I found a Fire Hand, so not exactly what I was expecting, but the end result was still the same nonetheless. Cowboy, got this for game twice today, so more of an influx. Photon Pappy, this is pretty much just sort of like a placeholder. If I can get my hands on an Exciton, I almost did, because my friend pulled it out of a tin, out of one of the mega tins, and I was gonna at the end of the local, I went to see if I could get it off him, and he'd already offloaded it. Thanks, I'm nuts. But yeah, it's fine. Ragnar Zero didn't face any decks that this would be relevant against, so it doesn't matter. Same thing with Rhapsody. I mean, Light Swarms, yeah, but I pretty much had enough of an advantage using just the monsters in the main deck to get over him, and I obviously pushed further damage with the Exceed plays, so I didn't really need Rhapsody in that particular situation. For the side deck, I played Double DD Crow. This went in against just about every matchup. I know it went in against Swans. I know it went in against Scraps. It went in against Dark Worlds as well. I believe I only saw it against the Scraps. I opened up both of them, which was kind of funny. Mind Control, I saw this in only against Scraps. Never saw it. Sucked. Triple MST, sided it in pretty much every game. And just as well against the Light Sworn matchup, because I hit a Royal Decree with this, which was awesome. But yeah, Ghost Tricks had Vanities. Yang Zing probably had some stupid thing. Dark Worlds probably had some stupid thing. But yeah, overall it was just... It was sided in every game, pretty much. One Black Horn, sided this in against shit like Yang Zing. I think I sided it in against Dark World. It's not like it would have been really that helpful, but it would have prevented an Exceed play. Deep Dark Trap Hole. I believe I saw this a fair few times because I searched it out. Although I believe every time I had it, I would go on to win about a turn or two later without ever having to use it. So it was basically just there, but it was pretty much useless. Acid Trap Hole. Theoretically, this would be good for hands, but I only played one deck that ran the hands, and I did not even expect the hands. I didn't see the hands until game 2, so that was the thing. Double Shadow Mirror. This was just the Dark World matchup, and that was about it. And I ended up drawing it on the turn that I actually went on to win the game. So, Double DNA Surgery. Never played any Boojins. Never played any spellbooks. So this was entirely useless. And Double Debunk. Got a little bit of use out of this with against Ghost Trick Monarchs. But that is the entirety of my hat deck. Like I said, going to make the changes, going to get a bit of testing in, and hopefully this will perform hopefully that build will perform what this build did do, but was shafted out of it. That's the only way I can put that. So, yeah, see you for whatever it is that I do next.